First in high definition from the station on your side, this is WAVY News 10.
We continue to cover breaking news from this afternoon. History made in Virginia, a 5.8 magnitude earthquake. This is WAVY TV 10, our special edition of WAVY News 10 at 5. If you were outside today and you felt it, that's exactly what it was.
We've been on the air now for about 3 hours. We came on the air about 10 minutes after this earthquake started, one of the first on the air. We had some power outages that we heard about a little bit earlier. The Wells Fargo building in Norfolk was without power. As you see right there, a swimming pool right here in Hampton Roads. Look at the rumble of that, which was right on the ground when this sort of thing happened. This was in Gloucester, one of the plants there, and it just started shaking things all over the Hampton Roads area, all over Virginia.
Besides the movement, we had reports of minor damage, some cracks in driveways and walls, and there's some swaying guitars. In North Carolina, this is what happened all up and down the East Coast at around 1:45 this afternoon when that earthquake struck in Mineral, Virginia, just outside Fredericksburg, and in Louisa County, which is really near where the epicenter was, because we had reports of the middle school damaged and the high school damage there as well. They're still assessing that situation, but the state of Virginia, though, no state of emergency so far. Governor Bob McDonnell just spoke a short time ago and said there's only minor injuries and minor damage. That is certainly good news at this point.
We are waiting for North Carolina Governor Beverly Perdue to speak in just a few minutes. You're looking live right now, where Governor Bob McDonnell already called a conference call and a news conference out there a little bit earlier. He was explaining that we are not considering this. He told us a little bit earlier that Louisa County has declared a state of emergency, but no statewide declaration of emergency at this point. So we're still waiting for Beverly Perdue of North Carolina to speak, where there could be some damage down there.
One for the record books, 114 years the last time Virginia had an earthquake this strong. Andy Fox now, as he has been all day long at the ocean front in Virginia Beach. People out there too I guess, have quite a story to tell.
Oh, lots of stories. I mean, you were talking about how long it's been since we've had an earthquake. I mean, Jimmy Capps, he owns the Breakers here at 16th and Atlantic. He's been here since '69, never ever had anything like an earthquake. And of course, when people were on the beach, they were all wondering, well, are we going to get a tsunami? And they started looking and they started getting afraid and everything. But of course, we did not have a tsunami, and there was never a danger of that because it wasn't strong enough. But I have three people here. You remember where you were. This is Stephanie, and you're from Suffolk. Tell me, where were you, and what do you remember feeling and hearing?
We were actually staying in the country inn in suites, and I was ironing my clothes, and my legs went to trembling, and the lamp began moving, and I didn't know what went on. We heard people in the hallway, so I sent my cousin out. I said, well, go see what happened, and they said it was an earthquake.
And this Gartrell, she's your cousin. What did you feel? What did you see?
It was just like a swing motion. I just got out of the shower, so I just thought I was dizzy. I'm like, wow, it's spinning.
Yeah, did you feel the floor moving?
I did. Like, you were just rocking.
And I've been asking people, just with your hands, hold your hands out, and just show me how, with both hands, show me how much it was shaking.
Like this.
Yeah. It was that much.
Yeah, it was that much. I actually felt like I was dizzy and going to pass out.
Right. It was that bad. Yeah. And of course, over here we have Tommy. And Tommy, where were you? And you were saying you live here.
Yes.
What was going on?
I live at 15th and Mediterranean, and I was actually taking a nap. And when I woke up, it was from the shaking. The whole house was shaking. And I looked up, and my ceiling fan itself was shaking.
Right above you.
Yes. When I was worried that it was going to fall down on me, it was pretty scary, definitely.
Did you know at the time it was an earthquake?
No, and all I could think back was the recent sonic boom we had, and our windows did shake during that, for just a second or two, but definitely was concerned and wondering what was going on.
Tommy, thank you. Thank you all very much. Stephanie, thank you. I mean, guys, there's so many stories out here of all this, but the important thing is that no serious injuries or anything like that. And now back to you. Guys, back to you.
Andy, thank you very much. We're going to go now to North Carolina Governor Beverly Perdue, who is about to speak right now.
Damages or injuries, and there's been no request for any kind of assistance anywhere in the state. We have called Virginia and asked the governor there if he needs anything, and at this point in time he's telling us that they've got it covered in Virginia. So it's something really that's unusual, but it does not seem at this point in time to have damaged many things significantly. But again, it's just another emergency. And now let me talk to you about this hurricane. Hurricane Irene, I want you to know, is my mama's name, so I take this one personal. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, if she's trying to punish us or reward us, but at this point in time, it's just really, really early. I've had my first full briefing. I've had email and conversation briefings with the Secretary and with Doug and with Rudy Rudelsel all weekend. But that's my message. My message to North Carolina this afternoon is that we all are watching the weather forecast. We all know that North Carolina now is in any graph that we see, and we all feel like there's a hurricane that's going to come up the East Coast. The briefing logistics trail, the track, continues to change. You all have great hurricane tracking apparatuses on your websites or in the media. I've got one on my iPad that I'm working with, so it's easy. It's pretty easy to simulate it and to try to figure out where it's come, but the bottom line is none of us know. None of us know. At this point in time, the winds seem to be a little bit stronger, but it's a long time until Thursday, and that's the first time with any assurance we'll be able to tell folks in North Carolina where it might touch down, what the winds will be, what the rains will be. So let me say what we always say in North Carolina. We're prepared. Quite frankly, this emergency center has done this over and over and over, and we have the best system in America. We know that. We've learned about a system since the 90s, and that system is very, very robust and strong. The folks downstairs in the emergency center have all been talking. Every county has been involved. The Red Cross and the National Guard, the Highway Patrol, the Op Center, everybody's alert and will continue to stay alert. But for those of us who are citizens, especially those of us who might live on the coast, or if the track brings it in anywhere else in the state, what do we need to do today and tomorrow? From my perspective, I'll tell you what I'm doing as a coastal homeowner. I am making a plan to pull our boats out of the water as we speak. I'm making a plan to have somebody, because I'm in Raleigh, go check on my hurricane evacuation kit. And tomorrow we will go through what needs to be in that kit. But you know, food supplies, medicine, water, begin to think about your pets, begin to think about all those things around your home or business that could cause damage if there are high winds. The only place in the state that I'm told is going to go ahead with an evacuation is Ocracoke. And that makes such sense to any of us who've been in Ocracoke, because if they do the evacuation order tomorrow, and then it takes sometimes 2 days to get people fully deployed from Ocracoke to the coast. So prepare, plan for the worst, and pray for the best. That's what we do in North Carolina, and we know how to do that. And then be assured that our system is in place. All of the players are involved and on alert, and as soon as we can with any certainty talk about what the track looks like, we will be glad to discuss that with you and give you full information. Now let me be very direct, and you hear me say this all the time. While we're doing our planning, while we're checking to see that our cars are gassed up and our generators are working and we've got all of our stuff in our hurricane evacuation kit or in our homes or businesses, remember that right now we don't know what's going to happen, and this is the last 10 days of prime tourism season in North Carolina. We don't want to over-alert anyone. We want to be safe. We always err on the side of safety, but until we know, we don't know. So let's begin to think about preparations. Let's be vigilant as we are, know that our systems are up and running, but until Thursday, there is really no way that we can urge people to make final decisions. And until then, I would like for everybody in America to understand that North Carolina is the best vacation destination spot in the country or the world, and you ought to come on down, because we're open for business and we would love to have you visit this great state. We'll be glad to take any questions. Doug's here with me, but that's really about all we know.
Any questions? All right, you heard a lot of talk about the hurricane there, and we are following Hurricane Irene very closely. You can see right here in the tropical satellite picture that the storm's not quite as impressive as it once was, getting sheared apart a bit, not quite as concentric. That eye wall pretty hard to define, so some of the updates now take it a little bit weaker than what it was earlier. Winds are down to 90 miles per hour, so still very strong. Not much weakening with the system, but it was at 100 miles per hour at the earlier update. The movement right now continues to be out of the west-northwest, but a change as well is that it slowed down quite a bit. I mean, we had it anywhere from about 13 to 15 miles per hour in terms of the speed, now down to 9. So you can see really interacting with that rough terrain is slowing things down quite a bit, and also weakening it just a little bit as well. But that's going to change. The next 24 hours, it's still going to be into a very favorable environment, very warm waters, so it'll continue to feed off of that. And we're talking about Thursday. This thing could be back up to Category 3 strength, packing winds of 125 miles per hour. Now, some changes with the track. We've had a little bit of a shift toward the east, so it's a possibility it still could go offshore, but not the best news for the Outer Banks. Still, the National Hurricane Center wants to bring it, making landfall as a Category 3 in the southern Outer Banks. So something we're going to be watching very closely. You can see that Kona projection could still take it a little bit off, a little more offshore, or even further inland. So still lots of updating with this system. We're going to be on top of this and following the updates very closely and bringing you the latest. But for now, that's how things stand. So if you're in the Outer Banks, you got to sort of start thinking about that evacuation plan. But we're going to have the latest. It's still too early to say what will happen, but we'll continue to monitor.
Thank you, Sergey. And right now, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Back now with our extended coverage of the earthquake that struck Virginia. This is WAVY News 10 at 5, and of course a big question has been the nuclear power plants in the area.
That's right, and Art Kahn has been working on this story all day long. Art, what do you have for us right now? He's in the newsroom.
Well, Alvita, you know, we heard a lot about the North Anna power plant being taken offline today. You know, U.S. nuclear power stations, including Dominion's 4 stations, were built to seismic standards for their regions, and safety systems are designed to those standards, and they would, in effect, they would direct operators to shut down the reactors in the event of an earthquake like the one we felt today. Dominion Virginia Power said both reactors at its North Anna plant were taken offline after the first tremors. An emergency management spokesperson for Louisa County said the plant was running on emergency power. Amanda Reidelbach said the plant was venting steam, but there was no release of radioactive material. A spokesperson for the Nuclear Regulatory Commission said North Anna and Surrey both declared, quote, an unusual event. That is considered the lowest level of emergency at a U.S. nuclear power plant. Virginia nuclear power plants weren't the only ones affected by the quake. Other plants issuing similar declarations were the Calvert Cliffs plant in Maryland, Pennsylvania's Susquehanna, 3 Mile Island, Limerick, and Peach Bottom plants. In New Jersey, the Oyster Creek, Hope Creek, and Salem plants also issued similar declarations. Now, the earthquake also caused Virginia Dominion Power's newest power station, Bear Garden in Buckingham County, to shut down automatically. So what we've seen here, at least according to what we've heard from Virginia Dominion Power, is the safety systems that were put in place worked in this situation. Tom and Alvita?
All right, thank you, Art Kahn, reporting from our newsroom. We have some information just in right now. Breaking news from Richmond. We understand authorities there tell us 6 students and 1 teacher were hurt in this earthquake. This is in Louisa High School, just near the epicenter, which was Mineral, Virginia. And we don't know the extent of the injuries at this point, but again, 6 students and 1 teacher hurt from Louisa High School.
We're going to take a look at some video right now, too, coming out of Vienna, Virginia, where we understand there was some damage. This is Northern Virginia, and it looks as though part of this roof may have actually come off. Look at the damage to these cars. It appears a structure may have fallen onto the cars there. That is in Vienna, Virginia. We'd already gotten some video as well too. Significant damage at Tyson's Corner, which is also Northern Virginia. But this is really pretty bad right here.
This is the worst we've seen, Alvita, and we don't know if these bricks were loose maybe from the wall or whatever the case may have been, or if that wall was located in just the the worst possible spot that could have been for this tremor, but this looks like some pretty serious damage, at least at this point. A lot closer to the epicenter than, of course, we are, but man, this looks really ugly in that part. Vienna, Virginia.
Looks like some people were possibly working in this building at the time when part of that structure possibly collapsed and ended up on top of their cars. At this point, we have not heard of any people who were hurt as a result of this,
Right.
but we do know this is a pretty bad structural damage.
A short time ago, Governor Bob McDonnell talked to the state about its preparations and about how it is reacting to what happened this afternoon. Let's listen.
Reports this was an event that was felt in many places around the state, from Charlottesville to Newport News, and apparently as far north as Rhode Island, New York, and other places. I was actually on the phone with my son, who's a student at UVA, and I was in my office and felt the building begin to shake, and asked my son to hang on. He said, "Dad, I feel it here too," and that's when I knew that it was obviously something more than just a local event or just something going on with our building. The depth of the earthquake is reported at approximately
Okay, we were just listening to Governor Bob McDonnell there speaking about the significance of what has happened here and the damage. We're going to go now. Aaron Kurtz, photographer Aaron Kurtz, has been out in Portsmouth all afternoon. He was speaking with someone a little bit earlier about what they saw in Portsmouth.
I was sitting right here in the seat in the corner of the right here, and I noticed that the ground was shaking. I could not believe it. I had to take my glasses off. I had to look at the floor. Then I walked out that door, and I went to my other coworker, Samantha, and I asked her, did she just feel it? And then the garage doors was moving, and I was like, oh my God. And it was shaking for like, I say about 20 seconds when I felt everything. And it's like the ground was controlling my feet, and I was like, oh my God, and it just stopped. Like, oh my Lord. And that was it. And I never ever experienced anything like that in my life. Ever.
Amazing. Never even thought something like that could happen around here.
No, sir.
A hurricane's coming up, right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden this?
Uh-huh. I never thought this would happen, but it's like it's happening all around the world, and it's like it hit us. It hit this part of Portsmouth closer than it hit the rest of Portsmouth. So it was exciting but scary.
Exciting but scary. I think that's what a lot of people are saying right now. It was just unimaginable when this happened.
And Nicole Livas was in the middle of this as well. I guess most of us have a story about it, and she has some other eyewitnesses. Nicole?
Yes, besides what we're hearing from our friends and family in so many different places along the East Coast, we have some video and some interviews with people in Washington, D.C. to tell us what it was like, what they felt when this happened.
We were just working on some PowerPoint slides, and suddenly I felt it shaking. I first thought someone was just walking really deeply. Then we realized it was an earthquake, so we got up, gathered some people around, and we all just walked down the stairs and still had shivers when we were down here.
I was at lunch, and we were sitting at the table, and all of a sudden we felt this shaking under us. And it was kind of mild at first, and then the next one came and it was really intense. So everybody just got up and started rushing out. So we're not sure exactly what's going on, but we hope to hear soon. Yeah.
Have you experienced anything like that before?
No, I'm a native of Washington, D.C. We do have a coworker that's from California, and he thought it was nostalgic and that this felt like home. So I'm like, I don't think so. We're on the 8th floor, so that it wasn't like any work going on. So we knew something was up, and everybody just started rushing out.
I just, inside the restaurant, then I see her, they go filled on everything, they like Coke, everything. So everybody say, come, go out. So I just come out, So I see all our people out, That's all.
So there you have it, pretty much the same story up in the D.C. area as we have here in the Hampton Roads area, where folks were told to leave their buildings. They felt that rumble. And we appreciate you giving us your comments and your questions. If you have questions about what's going on, post them on Facebook. You can email them. We also have a live chat going on that you can just jump in on WAVY.com. A lot of you all are probably watching us right now on WAVY.com. We are streaming this live. So if you have folks who are out of town and they want to know what's going on in our area, they can certainly log on to WAVY.com, and we will keep you posted of what's going on. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back.
right, earthquakes, hurricanes, so much to cover for today. I want to show you what we know from the U.S. Geological Survey regarding the earthquake. We had a 5.8 with the epicenter in Louisa County, Mineral, Virginia. That's about 40 miles northwest of Richmond, and then you can see there that 5.8 just around 150. That's what we all felt here in Hampton Roads. And then we also had a couple of aftershocks. You see this magnitude of 2.2 right around the epicenter, and also got another report of maybe a little bit of a light tremor, 2.8 that was recorded around 2:46. So in terms of where it was felt, it was all up and down the eastern seaboard. We had some reports as far north as Canada and as far south as South Carolina, and even out toward Ohio, got some reports that they felt some rumbles there, and on out toward the eastern shore. Earlier, there was a report of earthquake in Colorado, and it was no correlation with the one that we felt here. So just some very rare stuff that happens. We usually don't get these, of course, across Virginia. We've had about 200 across the area, but again, this is something that doesn't occur very often, and it lasted anywhere from about 15 to 30 seconds, and the height of that was around 3 seconds. That's from the reports that we're getting. So just some very, very crazy stuff, to say the least. And now we turn our attention to, of course, Hurricane Irene, which has lost a little bit of its punch. It's got winds of 90 miles per hour right now, and the track has trended a little bit further toward the east. You can see here, though, still expected to strengthen to a Category 3 as we head for tomorrow and into Thursday, and potentially making landfall anywhere from the Outer Banks, and then maybe potentially skirting through Hampton Roads as a Category 1. But again, you can see the track has again shifted a little bit further toward the east, and the models kind of agree that we may see even a little bit more of an eastward jog. You can see there that cluster, and most of the models really showing the storm potentially could stay offshore. But still, this is this weekend when we expect to feel some of those impacts, so still several days out, and we're going to continue to stay on top of this and fine-tune the forecast as we go along. So still a lot of change is still possible. We kind of have to just start wrapping our minds around really refreshing those hurricane kits and getting prepared. In terms of the 7-day forecast, again, looking at some beautiful weather for tomorrow, mid-80s, 90 degrees on Thursday, and then we're looking at the impacts potentially of Hurricane Irene as we start to go into the weekend, mostly Saturday and maybe even a little bit on Sunday as well, with temperatures kind of spiking Thursday and Friday and back in the low 80s for the weekend. We'll have more coming up after the break.